Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, and today we've got a pair of the most brightly colored chronographs we've had in a while from none other than Tudor. So let's check it out now. Well, spring has sprung here at SwissWatchExpo and all over the world for that matter. And so I figured why not highlight a couple of really great, fun, brightly colored sports pieces for people when they're going on their vacations or hitting the water or hitting the woods for the first time maybe. Really getting outside. This is what I've envisioned with some really fun sporty watches. These are what I consider ladies' pieces, although at 41 millimeters, they are unisex at least. These are a couple of Tudor Grantours, which is more of a traditional chronograph line. But for this particular generation, Tudor decided to have a ton of fun with this model by including some really bright colored rubber straps, and they are in a variety of colors too, as well as a full diamond bezel and diamonds on the lugs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just get into this piece because this just absolutely filled my heart with joy the first time I saw it. This is a beautiful looking turquoise colored strap on this watch, and that's going to be the first thing you notice. It's very rare that I see watches where you kind of dive into it strap first, but this is a really lightweight, flexible, and a very comfortable type of strap, which is going to be great as it starts warming up. I know it's already started to get into the 80s here in Georgia. Elsewhere too, I'm sure you are going to be trading in your leather straps for rubber ones about this time of year too. The first thing you'll notice is this is a big sporty piece, 41 millimeters, but with a very feminine sort of color and shape here. This is definitely going to be for the lady who likes a really big sort of conversation piece. And honestly, with this brightly colored strap, that's definitely what it's going to be. So if I haven't lost you yet with the sheer size or the ostentatiousness of the color of this strap, then hang on because there's more fun stuff here too. The dial is particularly incredible. There's so much going on here, but it's so incredibly legible. Probably the most impressive part is you'd have to zoom in way in to see this sort of this checkered honeycomb type of pattern that is in the same turquoise color as the dial, which is sort of around the outer edge of this really bright looking white dial, which I think is another thing that really makes this pop. A white dial on a sport watch is definitely going to grab some attention here, even though that might seem a little counterintuitive with white being such a loud color. But when it comes to watch dials, it definitely is. And what little white we do have on this dial definitely shines through a great deal. You do have the Tudor emblem up top in red, which is on both pieces. It really doesn't distract from the rest of the watch as much as I would thought. We've got even number Arabic numerals, which are oversized here and sort of laid over the top of this checkered pattern. And of course, we've got a date window here snuck in at 10 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. This is a great sport piece with an automatic movement and still has the chronograph, still has the date window, which is part of the reason why I think even for a lady's watch, the case itself does have to be pretty significant. Another great thing about this is a screw down crown on this chronograph model, which I really think is very important for watches that are meant to be worn in the water or near water. This is a great beach day watch, and you really don't have to worry so much about the water resistance with this as you do with some other sporty chronographs that maybe weren't meant to be worn in the water. And I'm not so sure about the rest of the Grantours, but this one, Tudor was definitely smart enough to know this is a watch that people are going to want to wear on boats, at the beach, and so you need to make it water resistant. So they do, not only does it have a screw down crown, but the locking chronograph pushers as well. And of course, I need to highlight again the beautiful diamond pattern here. It's still somehow a full diamond bezel, but very sporty in a couple ways. One, you still got the full tachometer around the bezel here, which I think is great, and I think is probably the first type of chronograph I've ever seen that's been able to pull off both. And of course, the lug pattern here, it's not fully continuous. You actually do have a little bit of metal separating where the lugs start versus the bezel, and I think that is just absolutely fantastic for sort of maintaining this really sort of modern, contemporary type of look without making it look too old-fashioned and elegant. Because while we are talking about a watch with diamond bezel and lugs, elegance not really the first thing that comes to mind when I'm talking about a 41 millimeter chronograph, and it's probably not for you either. We also have what is essentially the exact same thing in pink, so if you're even a little more feminine than the first one and you want a full pink rubber strap, this one's probably going to grab even more attention than the turquoise one will, but also in incredible condition. You do see probably the main difference between the dial. Of course, we're talking about the pattern or the color of this pattern around the outside of it. I do think the red border around the date window at 6 o'clock does stick out a little bit more on the pink dial than does the green bezel around the turquoise. So that's if you really want to dive into the details and sort of see what the main aesthetic differences between the style is other than color, it would definitely be the way the border around the date window sticks out. Otherwise, these are these are identical models, unworn condition, and especially when you consider the price or what the market price of chronographs, particularly watches with factory original diamonds too. This is an incredible value, especially for ladies who are looking for an oversized watch, tend to be going for the men's watches, even the men's sport models. That is going to fetch a huge increase in price tag from a lot of the ladies' lines, as I'm sure people who are been shopping recently have found out. These very aggressively priced considering what a 41 millimeter chronograph goes for on this market. And it's not for lack of quality, because the diamonds look incredible. The finishing on the dial is absolutely top notch. And if you hadn't considered getting a Tudor chronograph, you ladies out there, this is probably one of the few ones I've seen that I think would make a fantastic, fantastic choice. If this is maybe a little too big, a little too ostentatious to you, do not worry. We have a ton of dress pieces, a ton of smaller ladies sports watches too, in a variety of brands, models, colors, you name it. So kick the season off right with a new timepiece. Like and subscribe to this channel if you have not yet, and give us a call at SwissWatchExpo.com.